If your cat stretches the moment they see you, right when you walk through the door, or the second you sit down, do you actually know what that means? Most people glance down, smile, maybe say something like, "Aw, you're so dramatic," and keep walking. But here's the strange part. That stretch isn't random. It isn't just your cat loosening their spine or waking up from a nap. In feline behavior science, that exact movement is considered a deliberate social signal. And it's one of the most personal forms of communication a cat can show a human. Yet almost nobody recognizes it for what it truly is. Researchers who study feline behavior have a specific term for this moment. And once you understand what's actually happening, biologically, emotionally, and socially, the way you see your cat will never quite be the same again. In this video, we're going to break it all down. The science behind it, the psychology behind it, and the hidden meaning behind when, where, and why your cat chooses to stretch when you appear. Because your cat is communicating something very specific. And after today, you'll finally understand what they've been trying to tell you all along. And if your cat never stretches when they see you, don't worry, stay until the end. Because that actually means something too. And what it reveals about your cat might genuinely surprise you. 1. They're not actually stretching their muscles. Let's start with the question almost nobody thinks to ask. If your cat was simply working out stiffness, loosening tight muscles, waking up a sleepy body, why does it almost always happen the moment you appear? Why not 5 minutes before you walked in? Why not while you were still in the other room? Why not when they first jumped off the couch? Think about how often your cat is alone. Hours sometimes. Plenty of time to stretch, to move, to roll around on the floor. But the moment you come home, the moment you sit down next to them, the moment your eyes meet, that's when it happens. That timing is not a coincidence. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Researchers who study feline behavior have a term for what your cat is doing. They call it a social stretch. And the name alone tells you everything. It's not a physical stretch, it's a social one. It's communication disguised as movement. Here's what's actually happening inside your cat's brain. When you enter the room, your cat registers your presence. And for a cat that feels safe, bonded, and comfortable with you, that moment triggers something. A kind of internal yes, a relaxation response, a release. The stretch is the physical expression of that release. It's your cat's nervous system saying, "This person is here. I feel good. I feel safe. My body can open up." Wild cats don't do this. Cats who are stressed don't do this. Cats who are on guard don't do this. The social stretch only happens when a cat feels genuinely at ease, and your arrival is what creates that ease. There's also a display element to it. When your cat stretches in front of you, they're not facing away, hidden in a corner, or tucked behind the sofa. They're doing it at you, in your direction, in your line of sight. Because part of the message is meant to be seen. Think about what it takes for any creature, human or animal, to make themselves physically vulnerable in front of another. To expose their belly, to extend their limbs fully, to open up their body completely. That's not something any animal does in front of a threat. That's something they do in front of someone they trust completely. So the next time your cat stretches right when they see you, pause for just a second before you walk past. What you're looking at isn't a cat working out the kinks in their spine. What you're looking at is your cat choosing to be vulnerable in front of you. And in the animal world, that means everything. 2. They learned this behavior just for you. Here's a question that changes everything once you really sit with it. Do wild cats do this? The answer is no. And that single fact makes the social stretch one of the most remarkable things your cat does. Think about what that means for a moment. Your cat isn't stretching because evolution hardwired them to do it. They're not running on ancient instinct, the way they hunt, the way they groom, the way they react to sudden sounds. Those behaviors exist in every cat, wild or domestic, because they were necessary for survival. The social stretch is different. It doesn't exist in the wild. It didn't need to. Wild cats live largely solitary lives. They don't have a person coming home every evening. They don't have someone sitting beside them on a couch. They had no one to communicate with in this way, so the behavior never developed. But something extraordinary happened when cats began living alongside humans. Thousands of years ago, long before anyone was writing it down or studying it. Cats changed. Not physically, not dramatically, but behaviorally. Slowly, over generations, they started developing an entirely new layer of communication. A set of signals designed not for other cats, not for prey, not for predators, but specifically, exclusively for us. Think about that for a second. Your cat has a whole vocabulary that exists only because humans exist. The adult meow is one of the clearest examples. Wild cats meow as kittens. It's how they call for their mothers. But adult wild cats? They're almost completely silent with each other. They communicate through scent, through body posture, through subtle facial expressions. The loud, persistent meowing you hear from your cat when they want attention or food? That evolved for human ears. Because cats figured out, over thousands of years, that we respond to sound. The slow blink is another one. That half-lidded, relaxed eye contact your cat gives you, the one that feels almost like an I love you. Researchers have confirmed that it functions as a bonding signal specifically in human-cat interactions. Cats don't slow blink at other cats the same way, and the social stretch belongs in that same category. A study published in the journal Animal Cognition found that domestic cats have developed a range of behaviors used almost exclusively when interacting with people. Not when interacting with other cats in the same household, not when alone, specifically when a human they're bonded with is present. Your cat didn't inherit the social stretch, they learned it. Or more precisely, their ancestors began doing something like it. The humans around them responded warmly, and over generations, that behavior became refined, reinforced, and passed down. That is coevolution. That is two species shaping each other across thousands of years. And what it means for you personally is this. When your cat stretches in your presence, they're not doing something that comes automatically or instinctively. They're doing something that exists because of the bond between cats and humans, because of the bond between cats and you. It's one of the most quietly profound things happening in your home every single day. And most people walk right past it. 3. Their paws are secretly marking you. Let's talk about something that's happening right under your nose, quite literally, and you have absolutely no idea. Your cat has scent glands. You probably knew that. Most people know about the ones on their cheeks. That's why cats rub their face against furniture, against door frames, against your legs. They're leaving scent marks, claiming territory, making the world smell familiar and safe. But here's what most people don't know. Your cat also has scent glands between their paw pads, small, subtle, and completely invisible to you. But to other cats, they might as well be a neon sign. These interdigital glands, that's the technical term, glands located between the toes, release pheromones whenever your cat's paws are active, when they knead, when they scratch, and yes, when they stretch, especially a deep, deliberate stretch where they press their front paws firmly into a surface and drag them slowly forward. That motion, the one that looks like your cat is just loosening up their shoulders, is also a scent marking event. Every surface your cat stretches on receives a chemical signature, an invisible message written in a language you will never be able to read, but that every other cat in the vicinity understands perfectly. Now here's where it gets personal. Where does your cat stretch most often? On the couch cushion you always sit on, at the foot of your bed, on your pillow, right next to where you're sitting on the floor, right at your feet. This is not random. Your cat is not just picking any comfortable surface to stretch on. They are specifically, deliberately choosing your spaces, the places that smell like you, the places where you spend your time. And by stretching there, by pressing those scent glands into those surfaces, they are layering their scent on top of yours, What does that communicate to other cats? It says, "This space belongs to both of us. This human is part of my world. This is mine," not in a hostile way, but in the deepest, most personal way possible. Think of it like a signature. Every time your cat stretches near you or on the spaces you occupy, they are signing their name next to yours, claiming you, not as property, but as family. There's a warmth to this that I think a lot of people miss when they hear the word territorial. We tend to associate territorial behavior with aggression, with warning, with keep out signals. But scent marking between bonded animals and between bonded cats and their humans is the opposite of that. It's inclusion. It's the animal equivalent of saying, "You are in my circle. You are safe. You are mine to protect." And here's the part that tends to hit people right in the chest. Your cat can't tell you this with words. They can't sit down across from you and say, "I've decided you're important to me." They can't write it down or send a message. So instead, they do something ancient and instinctive and deeply meaningful. They press their paws into the world around you and leave a mark that says it for them. You'll never smell it. You'll never see it. But it's there. Every single time. 4. Why they stretch more for some people. Have you ever noticed it? Your cat barely glances at someone who walks into the room. Maybe a family member, maybe a partner, maybe a roommate they've known for years. But the moment you sit down, they're rolling into a full stretch before you've even settled in. If you've seen this, you probably laughed it off or felt quietly pleased about it. But there's a real reason it happens. And understanding it tells you something genuinely important about how your cat sees the world and where you fit in it. Cats are not democratically affectionate animals. They don't distribute their warmth equally. They don't bond with everyone in a household at the same level just because everyone feeds them or pets them or lives under the same roof. Cats build a hierarchy of trust, a ranking system that lives entirely inside their heads, built slowly over time through thousands of small interactions, and almost impossible to fake your way into. And the social stretch is one of the clearest outward signs of where someone sits in that hierarchy. In studies observing cats in multi-human households, researchers consistently found that cats don't display social bonding behaviors equally to all people present. They pick favorites. And those favorites, the ones who rank highest in the cat's internal world, receive measurably more social signals, more eye contact, more slow blinks, more vocalizations that are soft and conversational rather than demanding, more physical proximity, and yes, more stretches. So what makes someone a favorite? This is where it gets interesting, because it's almost never what people expect. It's not who feeds them most often. Cats understand perfectly well who fills their bowl, and while they appreciate it, it doesn't automatically buy deep affection. You can feed a cat twice a day for 5 years and still not be their person. It's not who plays with them most, or who buys the most expensive toys, or who gives the longest grooming sessions. What cats respond to most deeply is something much harder to manufacture. Consistent, calm, respectful presence. The person who doesn't force interaction. The person who lets the cat come to them rather than always reaching out first. The person who reads the cat's signals and responds appropriately, backing off when the cat is overwhelmed, engaging when the cat invites it. The person who is emotionally predictable, whose energy in the room is steady rather than erratic, whose voice tends to be soft rather than loud. Cats are extraordinarily sensitive to emotional atmosphere. They can feel anxiety, tension, and chaos in a room the way some people feel a change in air pressure before a storm. And they move away from it, not out of dislike, but out of self-preservation. The person who creates calm, that person becomes safe, and safe becomes beloved. There's also a consistency element that people tend to underestimate. Cats have excellent memories for patterns. They notice who always comes home at the same time, who sits in the same spot, who greets them the same way every day. Routine for a cat is deeply reassuring. It tells them the world is predictable, and a predictable world is a safe world. Now, here's the part that might sting a little, and I want to say it gently because it's worth hearing. If you're watching this and realizing your cat stretches for someone else in your home, but not for you, please don't take it as a verdict. It is not a measure of your worth or your love for them. What it tells you is simply that something in the dynamic between you and your cat hasn't fully clicked yet. Maybe you move too quickly around them. Maybe your schedule is unpredictable. Maybe you tend to pick them up when they haven't invited it. Maybe you're going through a stressful period and your cat is sensing that energy even when you think you're hiding it. None of these things are permanent. None of them make you a bad cat owner. The bond between a cat and a human is not a fixed thing. It's living and it grows. And the fact that you're here, trying to understand what your cat is communicating, is already a step in the right direction. The stretch will come. Give it time. Give it consistency. Give it calm. 5. The stretch that happens when you wake up. Let's talk about a very specific moment, one that happens in the early morning, in the quiet space between sleep and waking, when the world is still soft and unhurried. You open your eyes, and your cat is already there, watching you. And the moment your eyes open, sometimes almost the exact moment, as if they were waiting for precisely that signal, they stretch. A long, slow, full body stretch, right there beside you, right as you return to the world. If this has happened to you, you probably smiled and thought nothing more of it. But there is so much happening in that single moment that it's worth slowing down and really looking at it. First, let's talk about what your cat was doing while you were asleep. Cats are crepuscular animals. That word simply means they are naturally most active during the twilight hours, dawn, and dusk. So while you were in your deepest sleep, somewhere between 2 and 5 in the morning, your cat was likely wide awake, moving through the house, watching, listening, alert to every sound, every shadow, every small shift in the environment. And then, as the room began to lighten and your breathing started to change, the subtle, unconscious shift that happens as a body moves toward waking, your cat noticed. And they settled. And they waited. Not because they needed something from you in that moment, not because they were hungry or bored or restless, but because your waking up is, to your cat, an event worth being present for. Behaviorists who study the morning routines of cats in bonded households describe this behavior as a form of greeting ritual. Your cat has been in a kind of watchful mode all night, and your opening eyes signal the official start of a new shared day. The stretch that follows is the physical punctuation of that moment. It's your cat's way of saying, "You're back, I'm here, we're beginning again." It's the feline equivalent of a good morning. And like the best good mornings, it's unhurried and warm and entirely genuine. But there's a layer to this that goes even deeper, and I think it's the part that matters most. When you are asleep, you are at your most vulnerable. You are unconscious, unaware, completely unguarded. And your cat knows this. In the wild, a sleeping animal is a vulnerable animal, exposed to threats it cannot detect or respond to. Your cat has been awake all night in part because that's their nature. But there is something in the behavior of bonded cats, something that researchers have observed consistently, that suggests they are not indifferent to the vulnerability of the humans they love. They stay close. They stay alert. They position themselves in ways that put them between their sleeping human and the rest of the room. Whether this constitutes guarding in the way we define it is something scientists still debate. But the pattern is real and it is consistent. And the stretch when you wake up, that long, slow release, carries the emotional weight of a night spent in that watchful state finally coming to an end. Your cat has been holding a kind of quiet vigil, and when your eyes open, the vigil is over. The tension releases. The body opens up. We made it through another night. You're safe. I'm safe. Good morning. Now here's something worth paying attention to. If you have guests staying over, someone sleeping in your space or nearby, notice whether your cat performs this same morning stretch for them. Most of the time, they won't. The morning ritual, the wakeful waiting, the greeting stretch, these are reserved for the people your cat has chosen most deeply. It's one of the most intimate things your cat does, and it happens at the most intimate time of day. The next time it happens, before you reach for your phone or pull back the covers, take just a moment. Look at your cat. Let them know you see them. That small acknowledgement means more than you might think. 6. Why they stretch right in your path, shortened. Picture this. You're walking through your home with a purpose, heading to the kitchen, another room, or finishing a task. Your mind is already focused on what's next. And then suddenly, there's a cat in your way. Not near your path, not somewhere off to the side, directly in front of you, fully stretched across the exact place you were about to step. You stop. You look down. Maybe you laugh. Maybe you say their name. And your cat looks completely satisfied. Most people shrug this off as cats being weird, but this behavior is actually very deliberate. First, it isn't clumsiness. Cats are incredibly aware of space. They can move silently through dark rooms, jump with perfect accuracy, and navigate tight spaces without touching a thing. The idea that your cat accidentally ended up exactly where you were walking simply doesn't make sense. And it isn't coincidence either. If it happens regularly, if your cat seems to appear in your path the moment you start moving somewhere, that's a pattern. And patterns in animal behavior always have meaning. What your cat is really doing is managing your attention. Your cat has been watching you. They know your habits. They know the path you usually take from the couch to the kitchen, or from the bedroom down the hallway. And they notice something important. You're busy. From a cat's perspective, a human moving with purpose isn't paying attention. So your cat solves the problem in the simplest possible way. They place themselves somewhere you physically cannot ignore. Not across the room, not hidden in a corner, right in your path. And the stretch makes the strategy even better. A sitting cat can be stepped around, but a fully stretched cat, paws extended, body long, taking up the whole floor, forces you to pause. It creates a moment where your attention has to shift. And every time you stop, look down, or say their name, something important happens in your cat's mind. You confirmed that they can reach you, that you notice them, that they matter to you. For a cat, that kind of reliable response builds trust. And honestly, those little interruptions might be the best moments of the day, because for a second, the world slows down. Your cat stretched in your path, and you stop. 7. What it means if your cat never does this. We've spent this video talking about what it means when your cat stretches in front of you. The trust, the bond, the quiet way they're saying, "You are my person." But what if your cat never does this? First, don't panic. The absence of this stretch doesn't mean your cat doesn't love you. It simply means something else may be influencing their behavior. Most cats who don't perform this stretch fall into 3 main categories. The first is environmental stress. A cat can only fully stretch when they feel completely safe. Loud noises, unpredictable routines, other pets, or constant activity can keep a cat in a subtle state of alertness. When that happens, their body stays guarded. The solution isn't more affection. It's creating a calmer, safer environment. The second category is learned silence. Cats communicate constantly, but they repeat the signals that get responses. If early attempts at greeting you were often ignored, your cat may have learned that those signals don't reach you, so they stopped using them. The good news is this can change. When you start responding to their smaller signals, a slow blink, a quiet presence nearby, communication begins to open again. The third category is simply personality. Some cats are naturally quieter in how they show affection. They may not stretch dramatically in front of you, but they follow you from room to room, sleep nearby, or quietly stay close. Those behaviors come from the same bond. So don't measure your cat's love by how obvious it looks. Some of the strongest bonds are the quiet ones. And if you want that connection to grow stronger, the most powerful thing you can do is simple. Be present. Sit near them. Let them approach you. Share space without demanding anything. Cats respond deeply to that kind of calm, patient presence. And one day, maybe when you least expect it, your cat will walk over, stretch right in front of you, and you'll know exactly what it means.